Hello, everyone, and welcome to Building India's Future, Advancing Higher Education through Strategic Partnerships and Smart Campus Technologies. My name is Alistair Lawrence. I'm the Head of Branded Content today at THE, and I'm joined today by two colleagues from Siemens who are going to talk about the work they're doing in the HE space in India to help transform the sector and guide us through on our way to go. Me too, Rohit. I'd like to start by us discussing the macro picture of higher education globally. I think there are some key challenges that apply to everyone worldwide. There are also some specific challenges in that make India a special case. So, I mean, if you could just start by talking us through your respective roles at Siemens, please, in terms of your what you do within the higher education smart infrastructure team, and also Rohit, and how you work with Siemens and work with the HE sector holistically in India. That'd be really helpful.
Thanks, Alistair. Glad to be here today. I'm Neetu Chawla, and I'm leading higher ed vertical of smart infrastructure for Siemens India. Higher education is a focus vertical for Siemens, and we are globally perceived as a leader in smart campus development with our presence across 2,000 higher education institutes and universities across the globe. If we talk about present times, the higher education is going through a very interesting transformation. And across the globe, we are seeing a dynamic mix of universities, colleges, and institutes, both in public and private ownership, where there are long-standing legacy institutions with deep-rooted traditions and decade-old heritage infrastructure, and universities which are established for around 2 decades in India, also occupying a very unique space in higher education landscape, where they are mature enough to have built strong academic foundation, alumni network, institutional credibility, but yet young enough to be agile, adaptive, and open to innovation. And now we also see new global universities expanding their campuses in India. And the unifying vision among all is to evolve into smart, sustainable ecosystem that empowers learning, innovation, and responsible growth. So, having said that, let us look at the major mega trends that are shaping the higher education landscape globally as well as in India. So, starting with sustainability. So, sustainability is now a strategic priority for higher education institutes. The institutions are committing to carbon neutrality, investing in green buildings, and embedding sustainability into their curriculum and research as well. So we already got majority of institutes around the world who have made a commitment to net zero latest by 2050 or so. Financial stability is a growing concern. Institutions are exploring new revenue models. They are optimizing resources and forming strategic partnerships to remain viable. This is again student-centric experiences is also being reimagined. There is a strong focus on mental health, personalized learning, and inclusive environments which universities are working to create for students in current times. Research and collaboration initiatives are growing exponentially. Here we see that universities in India are positioning themselves as innovation hubs. They are fostering interdisciplinary research, collaborating with industries, and driving solutions to global challenges. Also, we see that cross-border partnerships, international student mobility, and global research networks are expanding. Universities are becoming more and more interconnected than ever before. So these trends are influencing the universities to operate and redefine their purpose, their infrastructure, and their relationship with students and society. Uh, having talked about these mega trends, there also comes the challenges. So challenges, while higher educations are focused on these key priorities like sustainability, student experience, research and innovation, each of these areas come with its own set of challenges. So if we start with sustainability, the biggest challenge here is optimizing campus energy usage, reducing carbon emission, managing waste, and promoting sustainable practices. So in India, ESG reporting in education is evolving with a strong momentum. Institutions are aligning their operations and research with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and many are participating in global frameworks like the Times Higher Ed Impact Ranking, where India is now the best represented country globally. Also, there is an increased pressure to lead the way towards net zero goals and operate in a more environment friendly manner for these institutes. So campuses, we look at them, they function like a small city. So they have significant energy demands, and without smart systems in place, energy efficiencies can quickly escalate cost and emission for them. Now, if we look at the digital complexity, the campuses are becoming more connected. Digital security is becoming a major concern. Universities are managing an increasing number of disconnected systems, which makes it harder to ensure seamless and secure operations. Student experience, of course, today's students are digital natives. They expect flexible learning options, personalized support, and technology that matches with their day-to-day life. Again, meeting these expectations require a complete rethinking of how education is delivered. And finally, societal reference. Universities are under growing pressure to demonstrate their value to society. They must show how their research and teaching address real world challenges and contribute to the public good. So these challenges are complex, but they also present opportunities for transformation with the right partnerships, technology, and strategic planning. Higher education can evolve to meet the demands of the future. Now that evolution from traditional to autonomous campus, so if we look at the next slide, the challenges we have discussed ranging from energy optimization to evolving students' expectation, we see a wide spectrum of maturity when it comes to adoption of digitalization and sustainability practices across higher education institutes. So this spectrum ranges from traditional campuses with manual operations to semi-automated campuses with basic digital systems to fully automated campuses with integrated technologies. And finally, to smart and autonomous campuses that use AI, IoT, and data analytics to drive decision making. So in India, most institutions still fall onto the left side of the spectrum, and the majority operate in a traditional or semi-automated mode, where digital systems exist but are not fully integrated or optimized. Even among the best institutions in India, we see typically semi-automated environments where some systems are digitalized, but there is a still a long way to go in terms of achieving a truly smart and sustainable campus. So this presents a huge opportunity with the right support, technology, and strategic vision. Indian campuses can accelerate the journey towards becoming more smart, sustainable, and future ready. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Meeti. Before we go on, we've got a few poll questions that we're going to put up as we go through, just so we can get everyone in the audience's views on some of the topics that we're discussing here today. I think we can put the first one up now. If you just give us a couple of moments. And as you can see, is what is your institution's top priority for enhancing global competitiveness competitiveness and international recognition. So, Rohit, I'll hand over to you in a moment, but it's just so that everyone in the room today, and thank you all again for joining us, can answer that question, and then we can come to the results at the next break that we take. So, Rohit, over to you.
All right, perfect. So I think a quick round of introduction. I head the Siemens Advanta business unit, which is a professional services body specializing in sustainability and digitalization. We have a very strong focus on higher education as a vertical, where we have taken many legacy campuses across the world and transformed them into a fully digital, connected, and sustainable campus. Uh, in all these engagements, what we have seen is we were able to optimize the student experience on one hand, which is be it the experience related to the space, the comfort, the safety and security, etc. At the same time, on the other hand, optimizing the energy cost and carbon footprint and making campuses more sustainable. Uh, so what Meetu touched upon was a very interesting dichotomy that we see between the Western universities and Indian universities since we work across the entire spectrum. When we talk about Indian context, there are a lot of forces that are coming or shaping up the sector. We obviously see a lot of push from government side, different policies that have been rolled out to uh, push institutes towards more sustainable and smart campuses. Different ranking bodies globally, both government and private, have increased components of sustainability and digitalization in their ranking methodology. We also see a lot of global institutes coming to India now and have announced plans. So they bring their best practices and spur innovation in the Indian ecosystem. At the same time, we also see a lot of Indian institutes going outside India and having aspirations to set up their campuses abroad. So all these multiple dynamic forces in the Indian ecosystem, higher education ecosystem, definitely is creating a lot of traction and momentum as far as sustainability and smart campuses are concerned. As Meetu also highlighted, many institutes in India have come up with their net zero plans. Some of them have even announced their target timelines. But in our sort of understanding and research, I would say it is still early stages of maturity when we compare it to some of the institutes on the Western world. Obviously, we have a lot of early adopters in the Indian higher education ecosystem, but broadly, if we see the entire sector lies somewhere between that traditional to semi-automated side of the spectrum. If we dive a bit deeper to understand some interesting insights for Indian higher education sector, what we see is a lot of institutes have invested on the digitalization of their enterprise processes. So when I say enterprise, that means they're focused more on the academic processes, the admissions, the attendance management, the class scheduling, and so on and so forth. So that has been the primary focus when it comes to digitalization initiatives, while the infrastructure side, which is related to waste management, the energy consumption, the water management, the integration of community services, etc., has not been that much of a focus so far as Indian institutes are concerned. We do see some early adopters there as well, where some institutes have picked up a few ad hoc initiatives, I would say siloed ones, where they've started playing out and doing pilot initiatives on waste management, some sort of solar generation on campus, and so on and so forth. But what we clearly see is a lack of a holistic net zero plan and a roadmap and a holistic program around becoming sustainable smart campuses. I would also, Alistair, take this platform to share a few insights from the market study that we conducted recently as far as Siemens portfolio is concerned in India. And we gathered inputs on multiple different hundreds of areas and a lot of interesting insights. But just three or four, I would like to highlight and share with the audience here. The first one is we asked the institutes, what is your primary driver to move towards sustainable smart campuses? So the interesting fact we uncovered was it was all driven by experience on campus, be it students, be it faculty, be it staff, and the entire stakeholders around the campus. Most of the institutes said that energy cost, or reduction of carbon footprint, etc., is a byproduct if we focus on the experience side. So that has been the primary driver. More than 75% of the institutes out of 300 that we researched highlighted that. Then we asked them, if that is your primary driver, what are the top initiatives that you would like to focus on or invest in the next 5 years? Again, there, I think, related to experience, we saw a very strong 90% of the institutes calling out smart labs as their primary investment area, where they want labs to be integrated, labs to be consuming data that is getting generated from the campus itself, because as Neetu said, campus is a mini city in itself. Using campuses as a pilot springboard to then scale the initiatives at a district or a city level. So smart labs came as a very strong investment area. Then the second one was around space optimization, comfort optimization, and again, overall, all the dynamics related to experience on campus, be it safety, be it security, how can we create flexible spaces, how can we ensure the right amount of occupancy in the rooms, how can we ensure right amount of or right quality of indoor air in the campus, and so on and so forth. And the last one that was again very interesting was integration of all the services that are offered on campus. So we do see a lot of services like mobility services, you have food and beverage services, you have canteens, you have many other aspects, hostels, a library, etc. These are all again digital but not integrated. So again, that creates a lot of siloed, I would say, operations within the campus. So that is another area I think which institutes highlighted as sort of their primary focus area. So top three, I would just reiterate, was around the smart labs. Then second one was around smart spaces and smart comfort management solutions. And then lastly, it was integration of services on campus. Then the last question we asked them was around, if those are your initiatives that you would like to invest on, what is it that is stopping you? What are the key barriers that is stopping you from achieving or investing on those initiatives? Again, they're very interesting insight. We expected it would be budget, because budget obviously is an important factor in these programs. But what came out as the topmost, more than 95% of the institutes said that the single biggest bottleneck for them is lack of people or players who can help them with this integrated roadmap that addresses their unique needs and unique problems of their campuses. So they get a lot of pointed solutions which are like on, let's say, specific aspects or specific problems, but nobody is able to frame this integrated net zero plan and a roadmap considering the challenges of their legacy infrastructure and the investment plan, and then eventually implementing them. So they're really looking for support on this end-to-end integrated player, and that is again another interesting insight that came out as part of our research.
Excellent. Thanks, Rohit. It is interesting that what you're talking about is perhaps a cultural problem or an administrative problem with getting buy-in and enabling that shift across the entire institution. Possibly, I suspect, because it's something that takes several years to implement in its full form. So you need to be able to
Absolutely.
commit to a lot of medium-term and long-term planning, which can be difficult, particularly if you want to involve student stakeholders in that process, and you might have a 1 or 2 or 3 year turnover from those stakeholders. If we just jump back to compare what you're saying to the poll question that we asked earlier, I don't know if we could see the results for what people's sort of macro view of this in terms of how they are responding to the global challenges. It seems that, yeah, advancing research capabilities and innovation infrastructure is just sort of nosing ahead as the top point there, which seems to chime a lot with what you're saying.
Exactly.
Other things that get a lot of responses are improving sustainability, which you would expect, and then obviously wanting to attract world-class faculty and upgrading the digital infrastructure for smart campus technologies. If we can we've got a couple more poll questions. We'll put the second one up now for everyone, which dives a little bit deeper into Rohit's point about how does your university, sorry, it's jumped over my question. How does your university currently utilize campus infrastructure for research and innovation and activities? I think this will give us a little bit more information about the progress that people in the room today are making, and also as we get further into the discussion, we might hear a bit more about the pain points that people experience. To that point, we are going to try and use what 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the hour that we've got scheduled today for anyone in the audience to put questions to either Rohit or Mitu based on the insights that they're sharing with us today. So if anyone does have any questions for the panelists, please drop it in the chat and we will try and get through as many of those questions as possible before the end. So while we give our audience a bit more time to respond to the latest poll question, Rohit, do you have a little bit more information about the key findings from India, or would you like us to move on to talk about the end-to-end offering that Siemens has?
No, I think those were the key findings. I mean, yes, there were a couple of other interesting insights that we saw between the government campuses versus the private ones, different focus areas. We also saw a very sort of varying level of maturity and vision. I mean, some institutes want to focus on their immediate problems, while some institutes want to focus on long-term vision of 10 to 15 years of achieving the net zero plan. But overall, I think, as I said, we definitely see a lot of traction and momentum gaining in the Indian higher education ecosystem. And this, I think, presents a lot of opportunities, as Meetu also highlighted earlier, where we can solve those unique challenges and move ahead in this journey of sustainability.
When you have those conversations with university leaders and university stakeholders in India, does it tend to be a particular job title or a particular department who are engaging and trying to drive things forward in this respect? I mean, is it coming from senior management? Is it coming from what is perceived as pressure from student groups? Are there particular faculties or subjects who you think are more alive or perhaps better equipped to embrace these kind of changes than other disciplines?
Very interesting question. So I think this is one of the challenges also where we see why the infrastructure side or the smart campus aspects are not that of a focus so far is because they have been operated in very siloed fashion. So I think still there is a strong feeling that facility management or the operations team of the campus is responsible for sustainability initiatives. And that is a clear sort of differentiator we saw between campuses which are ahead in their maturity curve versus the campuses which are still lagging a bit. The campuses which are early adopters, you see the CXO or the topmost board and management having sustainability KPIs in their agenda. That's part of their regular operating rhythms. There's a strong sustainability and governance body that has been established, which focuses on monitoring the initiatives that have been rolled out. But to your question, I think that's again a clear sort of success factor that we see because sustainability is also a lot of mindset change within the campus. You cannot do it alone. You have to involve all the stakeholders on the campus and take them along with you in this journey. So again, it has to be driven from the top. There has to be a very, very sort of structured governance and monitoring mechanism and it should be part of their KPIs. You need to incentivize people accordingly. And that's when you start seeing some of the results coming up on the ground. So in our conversations, obviously, we have interacted right from the topmost, let's say, vice chancellors, chancellors to the management and board of universities. We have interacted with facilities and operations head. We are also seeing a growing trend where many institutes, especially on the government side, have established specific sustainability research bodies within the campus. And those are the sort of departments who are taking these pilot initiatives or deploying something within the campus at a small scale. So we also interacted with those bodies within large campuses to understand their roadmap, their sort of future scenarios, what kind of technologies they're looking for, etc. So I think to summarize it, I think if we see a strong institutes in those KPIs, definitely it is coming from all the stakeholders. That's why they are there. So the top management, the different stakeholders, the HODs, the department heads, the facilities management, while the institutes which are still lagging are just having very ad hoc initiatives in a siloed fashion, that's where we see like only the facilities team or a very specific set of stakeholders are still trying to drive those initiatives.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. There's just one other point I wanted to pick up in that answer before we move on. Was there much of a split between public universities and private universities in terms of the rate and scale of adoption? You mentioned how there are some government policy initiatives that are embedding government departments into universities. Is that having an impact in changing the rate of adoption between public institutions and private ones?
I think if you look at the aspiration level, I would say they rank the same. I mean, the topmost private institutes and topmost government institutes would be on the same scale. Obviously, now when it comes to actual implementation of some of these initiatives, uh, in terms of top 10, I would say more than 70% are private bodies. The government ones have aspirations. They have also strong funding support from different pools of money, be it alumni bodies or government funding, but their primary focus so far has been on research in the area of sustainability, while not too much focus on making their own campuses sustainable to that extent. While on the private body side, we have really large private campuses in the country who are very aspirational, have taken those bold steps of defining their net zero timelines and plans, have put together proper monitoring and governance framework, and have budget commitments from their board for next 5 to 10 years to implement those initiatives. So that's how I would sort of see the trend between private and government institutes in India.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Meeti, before we come to you to talk about Siemens specific initiatives and institutions and how you and your colleagues at Siemens are helping Indian universities realize their ambitions, if we could just have a look at the answers for the second poll question, please. I think it'd be interesting to see what we've got. Okay, so there's no kind of out and out leader as such, but it seems that we have some research facilities, but limited integration across campus systems seems to be the answer that's nosing out in front. So, Rohit, that speaks to your point where it seems to be like there are pockets of innovation happening, or perhaps if you've got buy-in at a very senior level, people are able to take a more holistic approach, but they're still in the early to mid stages of developing their strategies here. So, thank you
Absolutely.
very much for giving us your thoughts on that. Meetu, over to you. It'd be great to hear more about how we can start to address these strategic challenges in a practical way.
Thanks, Alistair. So I would also like to add into the key drivers like the national education policy. So NEP 2020 is also laying the foundation for a tech-enabled, future-ready education ecosystem. This has a strong emphasis on integrating technology into every aspect of education. And globalization, of course, is a driver along with the ranking upliftment, and how Siemens is now supporting all these initiatives, all these all these areas through the technology. So if we look at Siemens, we had the opportunity to work with a wide range of universities, big, small, across different disciplines and regions. So that experience has helped us shaping a unique approach for the Indian higher education sector. So, with our strengths in digitalization, sustainability, and smart infrastructure, we are supporting institutions as they move towards becoming more smart and sustainable campuses. So, in this journey, whether they are upgrading the existing facilities like brownfield campuses or building the new greenfield campuses, we have our integrated approach to help these institutions achieve outcomes in 7 key areas. So first and foremost important area is campus sustainability. So we support sustainable campus development by integrating smart building technologies, renewable energy solutions, and data-driven analytics. Energy management as we already discussed that campuses are like small cities, so they have substantial energy needs. So we provide smart energy management solutions that improve energy transparency, optimize the consumption, and enable on-site renewable generation. These solutions reduce significant energy usage and enhance the energy resilience for the institute. Safety and security is the another area. This is non-negotiable, of course. So we offer an integrated approach here to physical, digital, and cyber security, ensuring that full compliances are there, protecting people and assets, and lowering insurance cost also through proactive risk management practices. Efficient and predictable campus operation is the key. So our systems use automation and data insights to streamline the campus operations, reduce the equipment failures, and ensure peak performance across the complete asset lifecycle. Uh, with our research and teaching excellence, we empower institutions with global knowledge sharing platforms, also co-creation of certain programs into the new areas like School of Sustainability and advanced research practices. So this helps drive academic excellence and increase the industry sponsored research projects as well. Optimizing the space is another area where we have our solutions and offerings because underutilized infrastructure is also a hidden cost. So we use real-time data and predictive analytics to optimize space usage, improve scheduling, and enhance the value of campus real estate. And finally, at the heart of every institute are its students and faculty. We redefine campus environment through modern design, technology integration, and sustainable solutions. So we're creating inspiring spaces that promote students and faculty well-being and improve student and faculty satisfaction. In the area of sustainability, we are also offering EV charging infrastructure. We are providing associated services for and software for the complete integration of these solutions into the broader campus energy ecosystem. So if you look at connecting all these layers in the below are a holistic digital platform which is designed to break down silos and enable a seamless integration across all campus systems, whether in IT space or the OT space. So now institutions can unify data from facilities, operations, academic systems, and sustainability initiatives. So creating a connected ecosystem that supports smart decision making, improve efficiency, and greater transparency. So end-to-end decarbonization programs and consulting services is also one of the major offering from our side through our consulting division. So working closely with universities to assess their current environment footprint, designing the customized solutions and strategies, and a comprehensive roadmap to implement and execute these holistic solutions, and along with that, drive the measurable impact. So all these programs also support in tracking the emissions across scope 1, 2, as well as scope 3. And this comprehensive approach is definitely going to enable universities to understand their environmental impact and also take meaningful steps toward decarbonization and compliances with global sustainability standards. Last but not the least, we also have our Siemens Financial Services to support our partner in this journey. Siemens Financial Services provide flexible financing options tailored to the unique needs of institutions. Our goal is to make innovation accessible and scalable. So empowering institutions to lead with confidence and agility. So this is our integrated approach highlighted over here. In integrated solutions, empowering institution to reduce their carbon footprint, optimize operations, and remain efficient and future ready. So if I conclude or summarize here, so Siemens is not just a technology partner, we are a transformation partner with proven use cases and decades of experience in this sector. We are helping institutions move faster, smarter, and more sustainable into the future of education. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Meeti.
Aditya, if you may
Yeah,
allow, just
please.
one point I would like to add, which is a very specific offering under research and teaching excellence. So a concept of a living lab. This concept, I think, has immense potential and is gaining traction, obviously globally more so, and now in India as well. So imagine the campuses of the past where there used to be labs within a campus. So you had a physics department lab, a chemistry department lab, engineering, mechanical engineering lab, etc. So we had these different labs within a campus doing specific research projects. Imagine or think about a scenario where your entire campus becomes a lab, right? So it's not labs within a campus, but the entire campus itself turns into a lab, which is what we call as a living lab. What that essentially enientails is we are deploying all these digital smart solutions within the campus related to energy optimization, related to, let's say, a microgrid controller, which helps you optimize the renewable versus non-renewable sources of energy in real time, be it your chiller optimization systems, which help you reduce the cost of cooling in the campus, etc. We are deploying fairly advanced solutions. Now, these solutions, obviously, as we said, campus is a microcosm of a city. You are generating a lot of data, rich data which contains a lot of insights. So how can we leverage the data that is coming from the solutions deployed within the campus for further research and innovation? So that's what we call as a living lab, where all these solutions we deploy on campus are integrated and also provided for research and innovation to different departments. They can build use cases on top, they can build applications. We have seen cases where campuses have incubated startups using some of these data that is being generated from solutions deployed at campuses. So again, we integrate obviously at a low scale some specific technologies, be it wearables, etc., along with the solutions that we have deployed within the campus to give you a concept of a living lab. So that is again a very interesting sort of offering that we have. We have deployed it successfully across many campuses. And the beauty of this solution is it's completely scalable. So you can keep integrating new solutions from your campus and your living lab is always expanding. I just
Right.
wanted to touch on that.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you. I mean, one of the things I think we find here at THU when we interview higher education leaders from all around the world, and the general consensus is that whether they are talking about facilities management or research or pedagogy or monitoring student success, you are able to collect more data points than ever in all of those areas. But the amount of data that you can collect it can be overwhelming if you don't know how to use it or it's not plugged into a holistic platform that helps you get meaningful outputs that you can monitor and that you can actually build into the strategic goals that you have. And that might range from high level senior leadership groups that span maybe like a 10-year plan or a 20-year plan for an institution, and also the short-term goals of monitoring student success in the first semester on campus for people. So these are all things that we know from speaking to higher education leaders all around the world that people are struggling with, or having mixed levels of success when they try and utilize data to achieve these goals. One thing I wanted to ask about, obviously this is a big undertaking for many institutions. Some people might feel slightly daunted by it. Rohit, you've spoken previously about, where the pockets of innovation lie and where you see the most gains from the most institutions. I was wondering if you or Mita would like to comment on the first point in the slide we're looking at here, this net zero buildings, and in particular, how much of the conversations are you having with institutions? Is it about building new buildings on campus that are sustainable or retrofitting the buildings they've already got, or is it a mix of both?
Me too, if you would want, I can start and then you can
Yeah,
add that.
yeah.
Alistair, what we are seeing is obviously there's a lot of legacy infrastructure in India, large campuses which were built almost 7, 8 decades earlier. So obviously there's a lot of retrofitting needed for those buildings. But at the same time, we also see a host of universities expanding their campuses, which means new sort of infrastructures, hostels, canteens, messes, new labs, etc., etc. So you see a very sort of mixed maturity within a campus itself, where for the new buildings in the campus, most of the institutes are sort of now inculcating sustainability KPIs. So they are asking their MEPs and contractors to have like sustainability incorporated right from the design stage. They're looking at green materials. We have also found many institutes going for LEED certification of their buildings, etc. So there are these pockets of buildings within a big campus, brownfield campus, which are more, let's say, green and net zero, while there is a big chunk of buildings also which are very legacy and it needs a lot of retrofitting. So now, obviously, we have challenges in terms of not going to that level where we can influence the design stage of those buildings now. But how can we make them sustainable in terms of their operations? Because they're already built. So when we talk about operations, it's energy, it's water consumption, it's about the waste they are generating, etc. So how can we make their current operations net zero, even though there could be some footprint associated with the actual design of the building itself, which was done 7, 8 decades earlier. So that's how we are looking at the retrofitting aspect. We are also incorporating digital twin technologies for brownfield buildings, where I think the maintenance and optimization becomes very, very seamless, right? So there's a lot of maintenance needed for different parts of brownfield buildings in the campus. So again, there is a suite of digital technologies that we can deploy to again optimize the operations and make them more net zero from an operation standpoint. So I think that sort of is what I'm seeing. There are a lot of greenfield campuses also coming. So in those campuses, we obviously see a lot of traction and adoption right from the design stage to incorporate these net zero concepts and also design the architecture which are smart and connected. While within a campus, which is brownfield, we see those practices adopted for the new buildings. But for the old buildings, I think we still see a lot of challenges where we have good amount of retrofitting that can be done, but to the extent of doing a net zero on their operations, but not on the design at this stage. Maybe Meetu, if you want to add anything.
So if I add that the possibility of this evolution or transformation is there. So if I talk about role of Siemens into that, we see even the brownfield legacy institutions we have done in global environment, like University of Birmingham is one of our transformation program where we delivered the Victorian building to a smart and sustainable infrastructure. So on the similar lines, of course, we see that in India, the legacy, campuses also share the vision of conversion to a smart and sustainable. And this entire process is actually a kind of, program. So if we look at, I think I'm going to add some of the points now linking to the overall strategy, or I would say how the stakeholders are coming together to create this a vision for an ideal learning environment in their campuses, be it greenfield or brownfield. And we are supporting that vision at each and every level. Yeah.
Thanks. It's an interesting point about the greenfield versus brownfield dichotomy. Is that something that is kind of changing fundamentally when we start to look at sustainability? If both sites need similar kind of maintenance, or they need maintenance in they all need to have some uh, steps taken in order to reduce their carbon footprint overall.
So digitalization is driving that, Alistair. So we see that all the solutions in silo or the systems in silo, when they are integrated to a common platform, to a common digital platform, that is where you see kind of the contribution or these what we bring as in a solution to that, and that can be achieved through that.
And furthermore, we talk about the differentiation between sites. I mean, I know that if we look at the last published information I found from the government in India, there's not a precise number available, but roughly 2/3 of India's universities are located in cities, but there's still a significant number in rural areas as well. I mean, have you found there's been much of a difference in the conversations you've been having with universities that are in the heart of cities versus ones that are based on campuses out of town?
Not really, I would say, because I think if you see most of the new expansions that are happening in India are not in the cities. And these are institutes which are child entities of a large institute already, right? So these are the sister campuses or the child universities of a large campus may be established in a city. So I don't see that sort of as a driving factor between rural versus urban. We have a lot of really premier institutes located in tier two cities of India. So that is not a sort of dichotomy we see. We also have seen Indian sort of government of India, Ministry of Education, establishing this parent-child relationship where certain advanced institutes are given the responsibility of driving sustainability and digitalization in a certain set of institutes which are closer to them geographically. So that is also a trend more in the government sector that we see. But overall, I think we don't see that sort of as a driving factor between urban versus rural. We definitely see similar sort of maturity curves between the institutes, irrespective of the location.
Okay. I mean, so it always goes back to Miti's earlier point that it's digital transformation that is driving all of this. So that
Yeah.
is at the heart of it. And if you can put the right digital infrastructure around a university, then whether it's in a city or in a campus setting, it's not that big a deal. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Miti, please go ahead.
Yeah, so like I initially said, Alistair, all these universities, maybe of different sizes or situated in different geographies, they share a common vision. And that vision is basically driving the transformation, and the key drivers behind, we already touched upon that NEP 2020 is being implemented in India big way in every sector, be it tier one, tier two. So all university campuses are now in the stage of implementing NEP 2020, and technology is at the heart of it. So these drivers are remain, common, be wherever the university or campus location is, be it a rural one or the urban one. But yes, there will be different stages, or you would say period, when the evolution will come or reach to the next level. So if it is today starting with the urban environment, like the premium IITs are right now into these discussions of transformation with us or other partners in the country. Likewise, the learnings and the plan, what they are going to execute, will give or pave the way for the tier two or tier three campuses and universities in a parent-child relationship, as Rohit said.
I
Yeah.
see. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Rohit, just have one other question about the living labs that you mentioned earlier. You talked about the ability to collect data and utilize it in a more sophisticated way. Is there a particular type of data that your partner institutions are asking you for, or that they find particularly useful once they have entered this kind of infrastructure?
So I think one of the most relevant use cases that we have seen getting adopted mostly is energy data. So you have a lot of electrical engineering research projects and departments in these campuses, especially the technical institutes, where you are looking for data on demand and supply patterns, right? And you have a campus of 5,000, 10,000 people residing in that 300 to 400 acres of area. You generate a lot of consumption and demand patterns, and you are also connected to the grid, the local grid. So you also understand the distribution patterns. So I think that is a very important data, a live data, which can be used for a lot of research projects. You can also integrate that with, as I said earlier, a microgrid solution on the campus. So let's say you are generating a solar or a biomass energy within the campus. You integrate that in this demand and consumption solution, and it helps you monitor in real time your peak loads, your peak consumptions, and when to switch to a solar mode versus a grid mode, etc. So this entire energy consumption, demand, supply, and distribution pattern is a very interesting data that we have seen getting most traction so far in the projects. Then I think there are some, let's say, smaller ones related to chiller optimization, very specific projects where you're trying to understand the correlation between indoor air quality in the classroom with the temperature settings or with the humidity or with the pressure in the room, etc. So again, that kind of data is also very powerful. when you're trying to optimize the comfort within different spaces in the in the campus, right? So that is another sort of relevant data that has been really used by universities.
Do you think that that data that you're talking about gathering of energy can help universities improve their civic engagement or engagement with the civic stakeholders? Does it help sort of show how they're connected to their surrounding community better?
Absolutely. And what we've also realized is many times these mindset bottlenecks can be solved through data. So if you are talking to certain set of stakeholders and trying to sort of give them a benefit cost sort of discussion around why they should adopt certain practices, if you are able to prove that with real data, the discussion becomes much more contextual and much more relevant. And we have seen clear correlation between data-based insights to adoption of certain sort of initiatives on the campus. The success rate is very high. So again, I think, yes, you are absolutely right. This data can also be used to sort of engage the wider community in the overall sustainability journey. Yeah.
It seems that going back to the earlier challenges that both you and Miti mentioned about getting stakeholder buy-in and avoiding these kind of like avoiding a pocket of innovation when you can scale that across the whole institution in theory, it seems like one way might be to to have universities lead with the benefit if stakeholders are trying to manage upwards, because there may be benefits to this system that perhaps anyone who's skeptical about the cost or the times involved might not appreciate when they just think, well, yes, of course, I'd like to reduce my carbon footprint, but they see that as a fairly
Yeah,
one challenge among many that they are trying to solve. I mean, from what you're describing, it seems like this could address a number of challenges regarding, research innovation, spin outs, civic engagement. It's the possibilities for this to grow and just strengthen university standing within their communities. It seems quite interesting. It
absolutely.
can happen in different ways.
Absolutely. I mean, to the extent of even monetizing some of these services. I mean, if you're able to integrate everything and use data, you can build use cases, you can build applications on top, which can be monetized as well. There are enough examples where institutes, I think in the first slide, Meetu talked about this macro trend of financial sustainability, right? A lot of institutes are looking towards sustainable sources of funding to invest. I think you can offset some of that through monetization of these services. So again, I think the opportunities are endless. And as I said in my opening remarks, wherever we have done projects, it was not just from the perspective of reducing the carbon footprint. That was a byproduct, I would say, but the primary goal was research and innovation, experience for students, while at the same time you can reduce your costs, reduce your carbon footprint, and so on and so forth. So absolutely.
Okay, great. Yes, the monetization never hurts, I imagine. But all right. Before we move on to our final section, where we're going to we took just re cover a few, expand on a few of the points we've spoken about already about getting the foundation right, and also the monitoring and governance of these projects over the medium and long term. We'd like to put up the final question that we'd like to ask our audience members today, which is, how is campus data leveraged at your university? And we'll give you a couple of minutes to answer that one before we go into the final Q&A from the audience for Rohit and Meeta, and we will try and answer as many questions as we can in that time. So if there are any remaining questions you'd like us to put to the panelists, please, now's your chance. If you drop it in the Q&A box, we'll try and get through as many of them as possible. So Rohit, Meeta, if you could just perhaps take us through sort of the conclusion to everything we've been speaking about today, because it's been very multifaceted and there's a lot to grasp. And I think we do have one more slide where we can perhaps just give people an overview of what you would advise and what you would recommend.
Absolutely. So if I have to sort of summarize everything in 3 to 4 key takeaways for the audience today, here are those. I think the first one, very important, we need to break down the myth that digitalization or connected campus is only possible in a greenfield setting. We have enough examples of legacy infrastructures getting fully transformed into a digital, smart, connected, sustainable campus. So that's number one key takeaway I would like to leave the audience with. The second one is sustainability is a long term journey. It's not a 1 year or a 6 months project. It's a journey that takes you based on your vision and maturity. It's easily 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years journey. And that is why you need to set the foundation right. Because in those 10, 15 years, there would be evolutions in technology, right? So you need to account for those and ensure that your foundation is designed in a way that you can incorporate those changes and keep building on top. And that is what we sort of do in the first two steps, as you see on the slide. You need to have a very good transparency on your current state. What are your pain points, your challenges, understanding of your infrastructure, your entire tech landscape, tech stack to the last level of detail. You need to have a very good transparency, and basis that you need to design a future state which is tailored to your needs. It cannot be a cookie cutter approach that you sort of copy paste from some other university. Every university is unique. Every university's journey would be unique. So that's the second key takeaway I want to leave the audience with, that you need to set the foundation right. The third key takeaway is, before implementing or investing in any digital solutions, you need to first look at your hardware landscape because it's often overlooked. So as you see, the third step we talk about is connecting and automating before you start looking at optimization solutions, different digital platforms, etc. So the first step would be then to actually connect the legacy infrastructure at a hardware level, automate some of these through systems, and then move towards obviously putting digital AI-based solutions on top. So that's the third key takeaway. Uh, the fourth one I would say is, as I highlighted earlier as well, you cannot do sustainable net zero campuses in isolation, in silos. You need to take the entire ecosystem along with you. It also involves a lot of mindset change. So you need to ensure your stakeholders on the campus are sort of part of this journey. So again, that's I think the fourth key takeaway. And the final one is, this is a 10 to 15-year commitment. It's a long-term commitment and it's a lifelong commitment. So you need to have a very strong sustainability governance and monitoring framework where the initiatives are not only left at a pilot stage, they are scaled to the campus level. They are part of the KPIs of your top management. They are constantly tracked, monitored. You are building scenarios on those and constantly updating your net zero timelines and plans. So you need a proper governance framework. So just to, let's say, quickly summarize everything, no distinction between brownfield and greenfield. You need to set the foundation right. You need to ensure you connect before you start digitalizing. You need to take the entire ecosystem along with you, not in isolation. And finally, you need a strong sustainability governance framework to achieve your objectives.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We've got a couple of minutes left and a few questions from the audience, so I will try and get through as many of those as possible. One of the delegates asks, how can UK higher education institutions, when forming strategic partnership with Indian counterparts, ensure seamless integration of their academic standards and pedagogical approaches with India's evolving regulatory landscape and the unique demands of a smart campus environment, particularly in terms of data privacy and accessibility? I think it's perhaps best for us to focus on the second part of that question where we talk about how data is handled, because the pedagogical implications of that is a huge topic, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have time to address all of that in the time we've got left. So, Rohit or Mitu, can you perhaps just address those privacy concerns? You're talking about gathering a lot of data from a lot of different stakeholders here.
Yep. So I think, yes, as you rightly said, the pedagogy part, we do see a lot of universities establishing one-on-one partnerships. There are also some ministry to ministry level policy and initiatives that have been defined between various countries. So again, a lot of things that we can talk about there, but just focusing on the data privacy part, yes, we do see a sort of inhibition in sort of taking data on the cloud and also taking it outside the country. At least in India, we have seen that as a pattern. Uh, there are many institutes which are also okay with that. They're okay with cloud-based solutions. They're also okay with cloud-based deployments outside the country. But to address those, I mean, obviously, there's a whole lot section on why cloud is very cyber secure. Whatever we do is extremely ensured from data privacy regulations and standpoint. We do offer on-premise solutions as well. So many of these solutions, I think that we offer from Siemens, there are on-premise versions like building management system. So if you have an on-premise data center, they can be stored there. So the data never leaves the premises. There can be hybrid cloud, there can be private cloud. So there are various options, and data privacy, I think, is one of the key aspects that we keep in mind, along with cybersecurity and other elements when we deploy these solutions.
Okay, so it really is about just
Yeah,
engaging with the stake.
and
Sorry, Meetu, go ahead.
yeah, so just I think I was adding to the conclusion that we are here. We are keen to support Indian higher education institution in this journey with our technology and deep understanding of the entire ecosystem. And we are looking forward to continuing this journey together in India. Yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
thank you for the opportunity to share your vision and commitment towards the higher education sector in India. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Meetu. We're very, very close to time, but I've just got one quick question, another question from the audience about how the data is utilized. I guess that just goes back to your original point about it really depends on the data set, and then that would be decided during a consultation period with the partner university. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, yes, we have multiple use cases, and depending on your goals, we can curate some specific data sets for you. We can also integrate with some open data sets from outside. For example, Government of India has published their data sets from Space Research Department, from their Defense Department on geospatial satellite imagery, etc. Again, used for analytics. So it could be your data, it could be a mix of your data and outside open source data, depending on the use case that we're looking at. So yes, we have enough sort of examples.
Brilliant. All right. And the very last thing we're going to do is have a look at the poll, the answers for the third poll question that we had today. So again, thank you all for staying with us and staying engaged. And we can see, yes, the top rated one for how is your campus data leveraged at university? It does come back to that issue of sustainability and achieving sustainability targets, but also we can see there's a lot of stakeholder engagement there is clearly very important, as is managing operational costs. So thank you all very much for sharing your insights with us today. Thank you especially to Rohit and Meeta for getting through so much information and making it very easy to understand, and also hopefully giving everyone here the opportunity to continue the conversation with our colleagues at Siemens. Thank you all for joining us for this webinar. It's part of an ongoing series that we run at THE. We very much hope to see you at the next one. Until then, we'll just wish you thank you again and goodbye.